Hi guys, it's Olivia, and I'm sorry about this. Okay, look, I started straightening my hair and getting ready, and I just kind of left this half for now. Got this half done, and the shirt kind of looks weird, but it's an American Horror Story Asylum shirt, so there's a nun with bleeding eyes, and I haven't done my makeup either. But and I haven't made a video in a while, I know. I keep making them and then uploading them because I figure I don't like how it turned out, so stop that. But this is my top 10 horror movies, and if they're not your top 10 or you think some of them are dumb, then fine, but personally, these are my favorites. So I'm just going to go through these. The first one is The Haunting in Connecticut. Now, a lot of people, there's mixed reviews. A lot of people really liked this movie, a lot of people hated it, and, I can understand where some people hated it to a degree, like maybe how dramatic it gets sometimes, but personally, I loved how everything was done and the whole storyline. A lot of people like it because it's based off a true story. Not everything is, how it was when it happened, but there's a lot of things that did happen to that actual family. And that's what makes it so interesting for me. And just the whole plot and everything that happens. And I got really emotionally involved in this movie. Like, at the end, there was this one part where I was crying. I'm not going to spoil it for any of you that haven't seen it, but I was crying. But I really, really enjoy that movie. I could watch it over and over again. And number 2 would be The Shining. Okay, by the way, these are not in order of my favorites because that's too hard. They're just, loafed together, top 10, okay? And there's one of these in here that's more of a thriller, and there's one that's more of a dark comedy type horror movie, just so you know, but everything else is pretty horror-esque. But, The Shining. Okay, so a lot of people hate this movie because it's so long, and they feel like it's, slow starting and whatever. But, it is, in my opinion, one of the best horror films out there. I love Jack Nicholson's performance. I think he does an amazing job, and so does Shelley Duvall. And I just really, really like the story. It's not that it's, like, scary, but, the idea of it is, I guess, but the movie itself doesn't scare me, at least. But I really, really enjoyed that movie, and I think Jack Nicholson did a wonderful job, and yeah. And it's also a Stephen King book, so you should read that if you haven't read it, because it's pretty great. It's right over there in that pile you see behind me. Yeah. And number 3 would be 1408, which is also a Stephen King story. It was actually a short story, not a book. But honestly, this movie, every time I watch it, I get freaked out. Every time. I can't even help it. Like, just the whole idea. For those of you who don't know, 1408 is about a hotel room that this author goes to stay in because he, writes books about haunted places, and he's a total skeptic. And then all this stuff happens, and it's just ridiculous. Oh my god, that movie. It freaks me out. It gets under my skin. You have to watch it. You have to watch it. Oh crap, I just realized I should add another movie to this. Okay, top 11. I'm sorry. Because this is really, really necessary. I'm going to type it in on the list so I don't forget. Top 11 horror movies. Okay, now, number 4. Poltergeist. This movie is probably my favorite just because it was the very first horror movie I ever remember watching. I watched it with my dad when I was probably about 5 years old. It was on TV one day. My dad really didn't care what I watched. I watched everything. One of my favorite movies was Terminator 2. When I was, in kindergarten. He really didn't care what I watched. Anyway, because I would just watch everything with him. But anyway, Poltergeist. Okay, so there are 3 Poltergeist films. Personally, the first one is my favorite. The second and third ones freak me out, okay? Now, Poltergeist is about a family, and their house is their house is built on a grave. Why can't I talk? Their house is built on a graveyard, okay? And it's just crazy. And I absolutely love that movie. It's always going to have a special place in my heart. And I'll never stop loving it, basically. It's just great. You have to watch it. Just please go watch it. Do it. Okay. Now, number 5. Well, kind of I don't know, there's two whipped into this category. It's basically my favorite horror movie series. It's the Nightmare on Elm Street series. A lot of people think these are cheesy, they're dumb, but I really adore them. It's not like that they're scary to me. It's just, I don't know, Freddy, like, he's really witty in the last few movies. The first movie, he doesn't really talk much, but I've seen every movie. I own all of the movies except for I need to get the remake of the first one. But personally, I don't like the remake that much of the first one because his face looked like lasagna, and I just don't like how he portrayed Freddy. But anyway, yeah, I just adore the first Nightmare on Elm Street, and then my other favorite in the series is the third one, which is Dream Warriors. And just the whole concept of, in Dream Warriors, of them being in a mental hospital and everything that happens is just perfect for me, and I love that they bring Nancy back in that one. And yeah, and so I have those, and then I have Robert Englund, who played Freddy Krueger's biography. He's a really interesting guy, and yeah, I love those movies. And okay, this movie gets under my skin. It freaks me out. Okay, basically all these movies in the series do. Halloween 2, the remake, the Rob Zombie version. Some people hate his versions of Halloween. Some people love them. I'm one of the people that loves them. And just the Halloween series in general, the remakes and the originals, they scare the bejesus out of me. I don't know what it is. Probably because he's a silent killer and he, like, doesn't die. But Michael Myers is, like, my all-time, like, person that I'm gonna be scared of. Like, when I was a kid, I remember I watched one of the movies with my friend, and I was, like, 7 years old. And we lived in this apartment that you had to go, like, downstairs. Like, the stairs went down to the door to answer. Like, not like a whole big apartment building, but it was, like, you know, and, like, our individual doors were, like, you had to go downstairs. And my mom would be like, Liv, answer the door. And I would not go down there. Like, I was convinced Michael Myers was at the door. Like, why would he knock? But still, like, I would not. But anyway, Halloween 2 remake. Amazing. Like, I watched it in the middle of the day with all the lights on, and I didn't want to go to the bathroom by myself afterwards, even. Like, and Rob Zombie's versions are a lot more gruesome and disturbing. Just the sound effects and just the effects in general and how everything is done. I think it's just perfect, magnificent. I think that he did a wonderful job. And I'm really anxious because I haven't seen his other, like, movies. Like, I haven't seen Devil's Rejects or House of a Thousand Corpses, and I really, really want to. But I just haven't had the time to, like, go rent them, or, like, I've tried to find them online, but it just doesn't work out for me. But, yeah. So, Halloween 2, watch it. Number 7 would be Sinister. Now, that movie, I did not expect the twist at the end. And I thought when I started watching it, because, like, you know, there were so many commercials and everybody was going to see it, and a lot of people said it was dumb, and I thought it was going to be dumb. Like, it started out, and I really thought I was going to hate it. Like, I was like, who is this guy? Like, this movie sucks. And then by the end, I was so freaked out. I never thought I would be afraid of a guy named Mr. Boogie, but I was totally freaked out. So, you need to watch that movie, too. All of these you should watch, in my opinion. And a lot of people hate these movies, but I love them. Paranormal Activity. Because, okay, number 1, I went to see my friend when I was in, like, 8th grade, I think, and I literally screamed so many times, and by the end of the movie, like, when we were outside, I was, like, shaking. Like, that movie freaked me out so bad. Those movies are so much better than the Blair Witch Project, in my opinion. In the Blair Witch Project, nothing really happens. Like, they just keep freaking out, and then you don't see anything, like, nothing, you know, I just don't like the Blair Witch Project. But I love Paranormal Activity and how it's executed because it feels more real for me, just the way everything is and how it's filmed, and I just like how the story continues, and you have to watch all the movies to really understand everything. And I'm not sure if they're making a 5th one. I heard that they were, but I don't know. I can't remember if I, you know, forgot or what. But anyway, I love those movies. Now, this 9th one, this is the one that I said is more of a thriller, but this is also a Stephen King story. It's a novella. It's in one of his books that has 4 stories in it. I have it over there. 4 Past Midnight. It has 4 stories in it, and one of them is Secret Window. This movie has Johnny Depp in it, and it is just great. Like, and he's a writer, who got divorced. He's just kind of lazy, just chills around eating Doritos, and just all this stuff happens, and it is just, oh, I love that movie. Like, the first time I watched it, I never expected what happened to happen, and it's just a wonderful psychological thriller. Number 10. This is the one that's a dark comedy. It's Idle Hands, and it's got Devin Sawa, I think is how you pronounce his last name, and Seth Green in it, and a bunch of other people I can't remember his names. And it's about this guy, this teenager, this lazy burnout teenager, who, you know, he just likes to stay home and smoke weed all day. And then one Halloween, like, there's all these killings in his town, and then you see that, like, this lady who, she figures out, like, that there's a possessed hand that's, like, somehow traveling from person to person, and she is, like, after that hand, and that's basically all I'm going to tell you. It is hilarious. It's a good storyline. I love it. I love Seth Green's character. I love all those characters. They're such funny stoners. I could watch the movie like 9 times in a row and I would still find it really funny. So, watch it. Number 11 that I had to add to this list, which technically I wouldn't consider this a horror movie. I don't know I think it'd be a thriller. But I just watched this like the day before yesterday for the first time, so I had to add it because it's just like American Psycho with Christian Bale. Okay, that movie is the greatest thing ever. Like, I just love how it was executed. I love how he portrays Patrick Bateman. He makes my skin crawl. Like, it freaked me out, but I also just loved it because he's like sarcastic and sadistic and just absolutely perfect. You need to go watch the movie right now. Like, oh my god. Okay, but those are my top 11 horror movies. I really hoped you enjoyed this video. If you want, I could do reviews on those movies individually. I want to start doing movie reviews on this channel and other things on this channel, so hopefully you really enjoyed this, and maybe you'll subscribe or follow me on Tumblr. My Tumblr is ponderedweekandweary.tumblr.com, and I'll put the link below. Yeah, so bye.